Mysterious trail camera image. A photograph recently shared across several Facebook groups dedicated to Bigfoot research has quickly gained attention for its eerie and mysterious nature. At first glance, the image appears to be nothing more than a dark forest scene illuminated by a dim bluish light. However, once the eyes adjust to the shadows, a shape begins to emerge, a face-like form peering from behind a tree. The details are striking: large, reflective eyes, a wide nose, and the outline of a heavy brow. To those who have examined it closely, it seems to capture the unmistakable features of a Bigfoot, watching silently from the darkness. The origins of the photograph remain uncertain. The image was reportedly taken by a trail camera deep within a wooded area, but no exact location or date has been publicly confirmed. Despite the lack of details, the visual evidence alone has been enough to ignite debate among enthusiasts and investigators. Many argue that the proportions and expression of the being are far too distinct to be an illusion or trick of the light. Its proximity to the camera, as well as the glint in its eyes, suggests an intelligent presence aware of the device observing it. Researchers and longtime followers of the Bigfoot phenomenon have pointed out that the facial structure visible in the photo closely aligns with eyewitness descriptions of the creature. The heavy brow ridge, flat nose, and deep-set eyes are consistent with reports dating back decades. Some have suggested that this image could be one of the clearest close-up glimpses ever recorded of the elusive being that has haunted forests and mountain ranges across North America. The atmosphere of the image itself adds to the mystery. The deep blue tones and dim lighting evoke a sense of isolation, the type of setting often described in encounters with these creatures. The idea that the figure might have been observing the camera before retreating back into the woods makes the photo all the more unsettling. As the image continues to circulate online, opinions remain divided, but intrigue continues to grow. For believers, this photograph stands as yet another piece of evidence in a growing collection, suggesting that something unknown still roams the wilderness. Mysterious Thunderbird photo. In the late evening hours, a Facebook group dedicated to the study of mysterious creatures was caught up in speculation after a user uploaded two remarkable photographs taken during a thunderstorm. The images, captured over a darkened tree line illuminated by flashes of lightning, appeared to show a large winged creature suspended in the stormy sky. The witness who posted the photographs claimed that the being resembled what many have described throughout history as a thunderbird, a legendary avian entity said to emerge during powerful storms. According to the eyewitness, the creature appeared for only a few seconds, its immense wings spread wide as lightning split the sky in a violet blaze. The shape was unmistakable: broad wings, an elongated body, and a distinct silhouette that seemed to move against the glow of the storm. Moments later, the creature vanished into the darkness as the thunder rolled across the horizon. The uploader stated that they felt an electric charge in the air, as if nature itself had paused to acknowledge the mysterious visitor. Members of the community quickly began debating what the photographs could represent. Some were convinced that it was evidence of the Thunderbird, a mythical being from indigenous lore said to control storms and generate thunder with the beating of its wings. Reports of thunderbirds have persisted for centuries, often emerging in connection with fierce weather and lightning activity. To these believers, the timing of the photographs was too perfect to be a coincidence. Others proposed an equally mysterious theory, that the creature could be the legendary Mothman, a being often described as an omen that appears before disasters or moments of great energy. Its association with storms, fear, and sudden appearances in the sky have made it one of the most haunting and debated figures in cryptozoology. The glowing stormlight in the images seemed to accentuate what some interpreted as the creature's head and wing structure, adding to the air of dread and fascination surrounding it. As discussions grew, a few noted that the two photographs showed the creature in slightly different positions, suggesting movement rather than a stationary object or trick of the light. The shape remained consistent, appearing both structured and organic, unlike any common bird or bat known to frequent the region. Many found it significant that the being appeared directly within the lightning's arc, almost as if it drew power from the storm itself. The Facebook post quickly gained traction, shared widely among enthusiasts of the unexplained. Strange creature photographed. In the early days of January in the year 2017, a man named Richard Christensen captured a series of haunting photographs in Laveen, Arizona. What appeared in those images would go on to ignite intense debate and speculation across the internet. The photographs showed what looked like a tall, shadowy figure standing in the distance under the hazy glow of streetlights. With broad wings stretching outward and a towering humanoid frame, the silhouette seemed almost otherworldly. When Richard first uploaded the photographs, he simply shared what he had witnessed, an eerie figure that appeared during the quiet hours of the night, standing motionless in the fog. The scene itself was unsettling. A deserted street, dim orange light from the lamps, and a thick mist that blurred the edges of everything except the dark shape. Many who viewed the image for the first time described an immediate sense of unease, as if the figure emanated something unnatural. Almost instantly, people began to share the photographs across social media platforms. Some viewers were convinced that what Richard had captured was not human at all, but a being of darkness, a demonic presence emerging under the veil of the night. They pointed to the wing-like appendages and the unusual posture of the creature, arguing that its proportions were unlike anything that could be explained away as an illusion or trick of the light. Others offered a different interpretation, suggesting that the figure might be a sighting of the legendary Dogman, a mysterious creature said to roam the American wilderness, described as a hybrid between a human and a wolf. The Dogman has often been linked to eerie encounters, howls in the night, and fleeting silhouettes glimpsed by drivers on rural roads. To these believers, the Laveen image fit the description perfectly: tall, imposing, and captured just long enough to leave a lasting impression. As the image continued to circulate, more theories surfaced. Some believed the figure could have been a manifestation of something supernatural, perhaps drawn to the energy of the foggy night. Others claimed that it might have been a spiritual warning or an omen, appearing briefly before vanishing without a trace. To this day, the true identity of what Richard Christensen captured remains unknown. As of today, Bigfoot remains one of the most elusive and enduring mysteries, with countless enthusiasts around the globe seeking evidence of its existence. One Facebook group, known simply as Bigfoot Believers, recently reignited the conversation with the posting of an extraordinary photograph. The image, allegedly showing a juvenile Bigfoot stealing a chicken from a coop, caused a stir among the group's members, generating excitement, skepticism, and heated discussions. Though the exact location of where the photograph was taken was not shared, the image itself, combined with the vivid descriptions provided by the poster, painted a compelling picture of a fascinating and possibly mischievous young Bigfoot. The group is a digital community dedicated to sharing and discussing evidence, stories, and theories surrounding the legendary creature. Its members, hailing from various corners of the world, frequently post videos, photos, and personal accounts of encounters with Bigfoot, engaging in lively discussions and speculations. The group is a haven for those who believe in the existence of the creature, providing a space where they can share information without fear of ridicule. It was within this community that a photograph surfaced in 2024, capturing what many believe to be a juvenile Bigfoot in the act of stealing a chicken from a coop. The photograph, posted anonymously by one of the group's members, immediately drew attention. While the exact location of the sighting was withheld to protect the privacy of the landowners, the image spoke volumes. In the photograph, the viewer can see the figure of a small bipedal creature standing next to a chicken coop, its hand clutching a squawking chicken. The creature, standing roughly 5 feet tall, was covered in dark brown matted hair, and its body appeared lean but muscular. Its posture was slightly hunched, as though it was trying to move stealthily, though it seemed caught in the act of snatching the chicken. One of the most striking details of the image was the creature's hand. Though the photograph was taken at night, illuminated by a dim outdoor light, the hand could be seen clearly holding the chicken by its body, the chicken's wings flapping in a desperate attempt to escape. The hand was large in proportion to the creature's body, with long, slender fingers and sharp-looking nails, giving the impression that the creature was built for climbing or grabbing prey. The chicken, a common farm variety with white feathers, appeared alive and in distress, adding to the image's eerie authenticity. The juvenile Bigfoot's face, though partially obscured by shadows and its own thick hair, was visible enough to make out certain features. It had large, almond-shaped eyes that seemed to reflect the light from the coop, giving them an otherworldly glow. The nose was wide and flat, with nostrils flaring as though the creature were breathing heavily from its exertions. While its mouth was closed in the photograph, its jaw appeared strong, hinting at the creature's physical power. The overall appearance was one of a young creature, perhaps an adolescent Bigfoot, curious and hungry, yet still learning the ways of survival. The photograph quickly garnered hundreds of comments and reactions from the Bigfoot believers community. For many, this image was significant proof of Bigfoot's existence, particularly because it portrayed a juvenile, a rarity in Bigfoot sightings, which typically involve full-grown adults. Enthusiasts noted the creature's size, its hand structure, and its distinct features, arguing that these details could not have been faked easily. The chicken's presence also added a sense of realism to the photograph, as it showed a natural behavior, the need to find food, a hallmark of any living creature, including the elusive Bigfoot. Members of the group speculated about the location of the sighting, suggesting that the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest, the Appalachian Mountains, or the remote regions of the American Midwest were likely candidates. Some even theorized that the photograph could have been taken on a rural farmstead, where chickens would be a common source of food for a hungry juvenile Bigfoot exploring new territories. The mysterious origin of the image only added to its allure, with many members expressing their hopes that the photographer would eventually reveal more details. While believers embraced the image as a breakthrough, there were, of course, skeptics. Some members questioned the authenticity of the photograph, noting that it could have been staged or digitally altered. A few pointed out that the chicken appeared unusually still in the creature's hand, raising suspicions that the bird might have been placed in the scene deliberately. Others, while intrigued by the image, called for more evidence, suggesting that a single photograph, especially one taken at night, was not enough to definitively prove the existence of Bigfoot. One of the most fascinating aspects of the photograph was the idea that it might capture a juvenile Bigfoot. In the world of mysterious creatures, few inspire as much fear and fascination as the Dogman. Described as a humanoid figure with a canine-like face, the Dogman is often depicted as a large, bipedal creature with sharp claws, fur-covered body, and a posture similar to that of a werewolf. While encounters with the creature have been reported for decades, evidence of its existence remains elusive. Recently, an anonymous photograph uploaded to various online cryptid forums has reignited interest in this legendary creature. The image in question depicts what appears to be a Dogman-like creature hiding behind trees, lurking in the shadows of a dense forest. Though the photo quickly gained traction in online communities dedicated to cryptid sightings, the location of the photograph and the identity of the person who took it remain unknown. The individual who uploaded the image refused to disclose any personal information, choosing to stay completely anonymous, and attempts to trace the source of the image have been unsuccessful. As a result, the mysterious photograph has sparked a new wave of speculation about the existence of the Dogman and the potential for such creatures to be roaming the wilderness of the United States. The legend of the Dogman has deep roots in American folklore. Unlike Bigfoot, whose sightings are often concentrated in the Pacific Northwest, Dogman sightings are reported from various parts of the United States, particularly in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Kentucky. Despite the frequent reports, photographic or physical evidence of the Dogman has been scarce. This is one of the reasons the recent anonymous photograph of the creature has generated so much interest. The photograph that has stirred recent debate shows a shadowy figure partially concealed by trees in what appears to be a heavily wooded area. The creature is only partially visible, with its head and upper torso peeking out from behind the trunk of a large tree. At first glance, it looks like a dog or wolf, but the upright posture and the humanoid shape of the upper body suggests something far more unsettling. What has made the photograph particularly captivating to those who have seen it is the sense of proximity. Unlike other cryptid photographs that are often blurry or taken from a great distance, this image seems to have been captured relatively close to the creature. The detail in the fur and the outline of the body are visible enough to suggest something physical and tangible, rather than a fleeting shadow or a distant blur. Yet despite the potential significance of this photograph, there are several hurdles to verifying its authenticity. First and foremost, the location of the photo has never been disclosed. The person who uploaded the image provided no clues as to where the photograph was taken. Whether it was in the deep forests of the Pacific Northwest, the dense woodlands of the Midwest, or somewhere else entirely in the United States remains a mystery. Without this crucial piece of information, it becomes difficult for investigators to examine the area, interview potential witnesses, or conduct further research. Adding to the mystery is the anonymity of the uploader. The individual chose not to reveal their identity, refusing to provide any personal details or backstory about the circumstances under which the photograph was taken. This decision has left researchers and online cryptid communities grasping for more information, with no clear answers. Attempts to trace the origin of the image through metadata or online trails have led nowhere, leaving the photograph in a limbo of unverifiable evidence. The photograph has sparked a wide range of reactions across the cryptozoological community. Many believers are convinced that this image represents one of the best pieces of evidence yet captured of the Dogman. For these individuals, the photograph's authenticity is bolstered by the fact that the uploader chose to remain anonymous, suggesting they were not seeking fame or recognition, a common hallmark of genuine sightings. In cryptid circles, it is often argued that true witnesses, particularly those who encounter terrifying creatures like the Dogman, are reluctant to come forward for fear of ridicule or disbelief. Skeptics, on the other hand, have raised several concerns about the image. Some suggest that the photograph could have been staged, perhaps using a costume, animal mask, or camera trickery. Others point out that the lack of context, including the absence of a clear location or any accompanying narrative, makes it impossible to properly investigate or verify the sighting. Without a location, or more information from the person who took the image, skeptics argue that the photograph could easily be a hoax designed to stir interest in online forums dedicated to cryptids. The fact that the location of the photograph remains unknown adds another layer of mystery to the story. Given the dense and varied landscapes of the United States, the forests, swamps, and mountain ranges of the country are filled with isolated, remote areas where creatures like the Dogman could potentially reside, hidden from human civilization. But without knowing exactly where the photograph was taken, it's difficult to pin down any geographical patterns or assess whether the creature was seen in a known Dogman hotspot, such as Michigan or Wisconsin. Some cryptid researchers have speculated that the photograph might have been taken in one of the national forests that span the United States, vast areas where human activity is minimal and where sightings of strange creatures are more likely to occur. The remote nature of such locations makes it plausible that the person who took the photograph stumbled upon the creature by accident, quickly captured the image, and then chose to remain silent to avoid unwanted attention. The photograph of the Dogman lurking behind the trees has joined the growing body of cryptid evidence that sits on the border between belief and skepticism. As with most mysterious discoveries, the lack of concrete information and verifiable evidence makes it difficult to draw any definitive conclusions. Yet the photograph, regardless of its authenticity, has sparked renewed interest in the Dogman legend, leading many to continue their search for the elusive creature. A mysterious occurrence has recently taken place in Alaska. An anonymous man's trail camera, set up to capture images of wild reindeer, unexpectedly recorded what appears to be a large Bigfoot in the background during the daytime. The man said that he had set up his trail camera deep in the Alaskan wilderness with the hope of capturing footage of the local wildlife. His goal was simple: document the presence of reindeer and other animals that frequented the area. However, what his camera captured on one occasion was far from ordinary. When he later reviewed the footage, he was shocked to see the unmistakable silhouette of a tall, bipedal creature in the background, a figure that bore a striking resemblance to the legendary Bigfoot. Trail cameras, commonly used by hunters, wildlife researchers, and nature enthusiasts, are motion-activated devices that capture images or video when movement is detected. These cameras are typically placed in remote locations and left unattended for days or even weeks, allowing them to capture candid shots of animals in their natural habitat. Trail cameras are popular in places like Alaska, where the dense wilderness makes it difficult to observe wildlife directly. For the man, his trail camera had been placed in a secluded area known to be frequented by reindeer. The camera had captured numerous images of the local wildlife, including wolves, bears, and, of course, reindeer. However, on one particular day, the camera recorded something far more unusual. In the background of one of the images, a large, upright figure appeared, walking on two legs. The figure's size and posture immediately caught the man's attention, as it did not resemble any known animal in the region. Upon closer inspection, he realized that the figure looked strikingly similar to descriptions of Bigfoot. What made this sighting particularly notable was that it occurred during the daytime. Many alleged Bigfoot sightings take place at night, often in low-light conditions, which can make identifying the creature difficult. The fact that this figure was captured in broad daylight gave the image a level of clarity rarely seen in Bigfoot sightings. The creature, standing upright and walking on two legs, appeared to be moving through the background, perhaps unaware of the trail camera's presence. The creature appeared to be covered in dark hair, and its posture suggested a natural bipedal movement, distinct from that of a bear or any other known animal in the region. The man, who had no previous interest in Bigfoot or cryptozoology, was initially skeptical of what he saw. He reviewed the image several times, comparing it to known animals in the area, but nothing matched the size, shape, or movement of the figure in the background. Convinced that the image depicted something unusual, he decided to share the photograph with online communities that investigate Bigfoot sightings and other unexplained phenomena. After the man reviewed the photograph captured by his trail camera and realized that he might have caught a Bigfoot on film, his curiosity was piqued. Not content with merely relying on the image, he decided to investigate the site where the large, bipedal figure had been seen. He hoped that by returning to the exact location, he could gather more evidence and perhaps determine just how big the creature in the photo really was. Armed with a measuring tape, camera, and a keen eye for detail, he set out to the spot where his trail camera had captured the mysterious figure. His goal was to compare the creature's size to the surrounding trees and objects visible in the photograph, offering a more accurate estimate of its height. What he found on that day not only reinforced his belief that the figure could indeed be a Bigfoot, but also provided an important clue about the creature's massive size. Upon arriving at the site, the man carefully reviewed the photograph again, using the nearby trees in the background to pinpoint the exact location where the figure had been standing. Based on the creature's position relative to several distinct trees visible in the image, he was able to identify the precise area where it had passed through. One of the first things he noticed was how close the figure had been to a large tree, which provided a useful reference for estimating its height. The tree stood tall, towering over the surrounding brush, and had a noticeable forked branch that appeared in both the photograph and in real life. By examining where the top of the creature's head lined up with the fork in the tree, he could make a rough estimate of the figure's size. Additionally, other objects in the environment, such as a nearby bush and a fallen log, helped provide further context. Once he had located the exact spot where the creature had been standing, the man measured the tree and compared its height with the position of the figure in the photograph. According to his estimates, the top of the creature's head reached just below the forked branch of the tree, which was over 8 feet off the ground. This meant that the figure itself had to be at least 8 feet tall, possibly even taller. The man was stunned by the sheer size of the creature, as no known animal in the area, even a bear standing on its hind legs, could reach such a height. The figure's height, combined with its upright posture and bipedal movement, only deepened the mystery. There was no logical explanation for such a large, upright being, unless it was either a hoax or something entirely unknown to modern science. Given the remote location and the fact that no signs of human activity were present, he quickly ruled out the possibility of a person playing a prank. As the man continued to investigate the area, he carefully searched for any signs that might suggest a human presence or a hoax, but he found none. There were no footprints, tools, or discarded items that might indicate someone had been in the area setting up a fake sighting. The trail camera itself was set up far from any frequently traveled paths, in a remote part of Alaska where few people venture. This made it highly unlikely that a person would have been walking through the area at the exact moment the photograph was taken. In addition, The creature's movement and posture in the image seemed natural and unhurried, as if it were simply passing through the area, unaware of the camera's presence. The man concluded that the figure was too large and too well proportioned to be a person in a costume, particularly given the difficulty of moving through the rugged terrain in such an outfit. The more he analyzed the scene, the more convinced he became that the creature in the photograph was not human. When the man shared his findings with online communities, his estimate of the creature's height only added to the excitement. Many Bigfoot researchers and enthusiasts pointed out that reports of the creature's height often ranged from 7 to 10 feet, aligning with the estimate provided by the trail camera photograph. The figure's size, combined with the clear daylight image, made this sighting particularly compelling. Several enthusiasts suggested that the man's investigation of the area had strengthened the case for the sighting's authenticity. By returning to the scene and providing measurements, he had done what few others had, provided a concrete reference point for the creature's size. While many Bigfoot sightings are accompanied by vague descriptions or blurry images, this sighting stood out due to the clear context provided by the surrounding trees and landscape. The community's response also sparked further discussions about the potential for Bigfoot to inhabit remote regions like Alaska. The dense forests, towering mountains, and expansive tundra provide ample cover for such a creature to live undetected, making Alaska one of the most plausible locations for Bigfoot to thrive without frequent human interaction. The idea that a creature of this size could exist in the wild, avoiding capture or clear documentation, was intriguing to many. The trail camera's photograph, combined with the man's on-site investigation, added another layer to the ongoing debate about the existence of Bigfoot. While many remain skeptical of Bigfoot sightings, this particular encounter had several factors in its favor. First, the clarity of the image, taken during the day and showing a clear silhouette, set it apart from the many blurry or inconclusive images that often accompany Bigfoot claims. Second, the man's decision to return to the scene and gather measurements added credibility to the sighting, as it provided a tangible way to estimate the creature's size. For Bigfoot researchers, this sighting offered valuable data that could be compared with other reports and sightings in the region. The fact that the figure appeared to be at least 8 feet tall aligned with many other descriptions of Bigfoot, and its upright posture and movement through the wilderness were consistent with known patterns of reported sightings. As of right now, the man's trail camera, initially intended to capture images of reindeer, ended up capturing something far more extraordinary. The figure that appeared in the background of his photograph, standing tall among the trees, remains a mystery. With an estimated height of over 8 feet, the creature did not match any known wildlife in the area, leaving many to wonder if this was indeed a sighting of the legendary Bigfoot. In 2016, a young German adventurer named Andrzej Ciesielski embarked on a daring journey to climb one of the world's most iconic structures, the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. Known for his urban exploration feats, Ciesielski's ascent was both dangerous and illegal, given Egypt's strict laws on climbing the ancient monument. Yet, despite the risks, Ciesielski successfully climbed to the top of the pyramid, capturing breathtaking photos and videos of the surrounding landscape. However, his adventure became more than just an adrenaline-fueled escapade when he made a peculiar discovery: strange bricks placed alongside the pyramid's larger stones near its summit. These unusual bricks, distinct from the rest of the pyramid's ancient construction, sparked curiosity and speculation about their origin and purpose. Could they be part of a modern restoration effort, or do they hint at something more mysterious? Ciesielski's discovery of the strange bricks near the top of the pyramid adds a new layer of mystery to this ancient structure. While the majority of the pyramid is made from massive limestone blocks, meticulously cut and fitted together, these bricks appear different in both size and texture. Their placement among the larger, ancient stones raised questions about whether they were part of the original construction or had been added at a later date. Andrzej Ciesielski's decision to climb the Great Pyramid was driven by his love of adventure and exploration. Despite knowing the risks involved, including the possibility of arrest or injury, he carefully planned his ascent. With a GoPro camera in hand, he began his climb in broad daylight, undeterred by the watchful eyes of security guards or the Egyptian authorities. As he neared the top of the pyramid, the view became more striking. with the vast desert stretching out in all directions and the bustling city of Cairo in the distance. However, it was during this final stretch of his climb that Ciesielski noticed something strange: bricks that did not match the ancient stones around them. These smaller, more modern-looking bricks seemed out of place on a structure that had stood unchanged for thousands of years. Intrigued by the discovery, Ciesielski took several photos and videos of the bricks, capturing their odd placement among the pyramid's massive limestone blocks. His images, later shared on social media, sparked widespread interest and speculation, with many wondering what the presence of these bricks could mean. There is little documentation to confirm whether these specific bricks were part of an official restoration project. Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities is responsible for overseeing the preservation of the country's ancient monuments, and while they have carried out repairs on the pyramids, the exact details of every restoration effort are not always made public. It is possible that these bricks were placed during a lesser-known restoration phase or added to stabilize a portion of the pyramid that was damaged. Another possibility is that the bricks were placed there by individuals unauthorized to make alterations to the pyramid. Throughout history, the Great Pyramid has been the subject of vandalism and unauthorized modifications, from ancient tomb robbers to modern-day adventurers. Ciesielski's discovery has fueled speculation among those who believe that the strange bricks may hold a deeper significance. Some theorists have proposed that the bricks could be evidence of a cover-up or hidden modification to the pyramid, suggesting that they may conceal a secret chamber or entrance. The idea that the Great Pyramid contains undiscovered rooms or passages is not a new one, as modern technology such as thermal scanning has revealed anomalies within the structure that have yet to be fully explained. Shortly after Andrzej Ciesielski's daring climb of the Great Pyramid and the discovery of the strange bricks, people uploaded his footage and photos to various social media platforms, including YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. The video captured stunning panoramic views from the top of the Great Pyramid and provided a close-up look at the mysterious bricks that had piqued his curiosity. For a brief moment, his adventure captivated audiences worldwide. Urban explorers, history enthusiasts, and conspiracy theorists alike were drawn to his discovery, sparking debates about what these peculiar bricks could mean. However, not long after the video went live and began gaining traction, something unusual happened. The footage started disappearing from multiple platforms. Several of the most popular social media sites, as well as certain websites hosting Ciesielski's video and images, began removing the content without explanation. Viewers who attempted to watch the video were met with broken links, video unavailable messages, or vague claims that the content violated terms of service. This sudden removal sparked widespread speculation and further deepened the mystery surrounding Ciesielski's climb and the strange bricks he had uncovered. The removal of Ciesielski's video from social media platforms raised immediate suspicions. People began to question whether the footage had been deliberately censored or taken down at the request of an official entity, such as the Egyptian government or a private organization connected to the Great Pyramid. After all, the Egyptian government has long enforced strict laws regarding access to and preservation of its ancient monuments, and climbing the pyramids is illegal and punishable by severe fines and imprisonment. It is possible that Egyptian authorities pressured social media platforms and websites to remove the footage as it documented an illegal act. However, the rapidity and widespread nature of the removals left room for other interpretations. The fact that the video wasn't just removed from mainstream social media platforms, but also from lesser-known websites that had featured the content raised eyebrows. Many started to wonder if there was more at play, perhaps a coordinated effort to suppress information about the strange bricks Ciesielski had documented. Some speculated that the footage had uncovered something that certain parties did not want the public to see, whether it was related to modern restorations, undisclosed modifications, or even the long-standing mysteries surrounding the Great Pyramid's purpose and construction. The swift removal of the video fueled a range of conspiracy theories, particularly among those who have long believed that there is more to the Great Pyramid than what has been publicly acknowledged. The disappearance of the video was seen by some as evidence of a cover-up, an effort by certain authorities or organizations to control what information about the pyramid is made public. According to this line of thinking, the strange bricks Ciesielski found near the top of the pyramid could represent something far more significant than a mere restoration project. One theory that gained traction was that the bricks might be concealing a hidden chamber or entrance, potentially one that had been discovered and sealed off by archaeologists or government officials without public disclosure. The Great Pyramid has long been the subject of speculation regarding its hidden chambers and passages, with some believing that it may contain undiscovered rooms holding ancient knowledge, treasure, or even artifacts of advanced technology. Given this context, the removal of Ciesielski's footage appeared to some as an attempt to prevent further scrutiny of this particular area of the pyramid. James McClellan's discovery of a peculiar circular formation buried within the snow and ice of Antarctica sent shockwaves across the internet. Using Google Earth, he stumbled upon an anomaly that stood out against the frozen landscape, a perfect circle, distinct and isolated in an otherwise desolate environment. The moment his findings were shared on social media, they ignited a firestorm of speculation, intrigue, and fascination. For many, this was one of the clearest examples of a UFO hidden in Antarctica, fueling long-standing theories that the icy continent holds secrets far beyond what has been officially disclosed. Antarctica has long been the subject of theories, particularly those involving extraterrestrial activity. The discovery made by McClellan only added fuel to the fire, as the circular object appeared too symmetrical and isolated to be a natural geological formation. Unlike common ice formations, which tend to have jagged edges and irregular shapes, this anomaly had the unmistakable appearance of something artificially created or placed there. The possibility that it was an ancient crashed UFO, now buried under centuries of ice, quickly gained traction among believers and researchers alike. Social media users wasted no time in dissecting McClellan's discovery, with many claiming that this was undeniable proof of extraterrestrial presence in Antarctica. Some pointed out that previous reports of unidentified objects in the region had been dismissed by mainstream scientists, only for more anomalies to surface time and time again. Others suggested that the frozen landscape of Antarctica serves as the perfect hiding place for advanced technology, whether extraterrestrial or classified human-made projects. The sheer remoteness of the region makes it an ideal location for secret experiments, concealed bases, and, possibly, evidence of an alien presence. One of the most compelling aspects of the discovery was how it aligned with previously leaked information about Antarctica. In particular, many referenced the strange photos that had surfaced via WikiLeaks, which hinted at unusual activity in the region. Some of the leaked emails included discussions about unexplained phenomena, unusual structures, and even references to classified operations taking place in Antarctica. Those who had long suspected that the continent was home to more than just ice saw McClellan's discovery as further validation of their theories. Adding to the intrigue, some researchers have pointed out that Antarctica has a long history of unexplained anomalies. There have been reports of strange heat signatures detected beneath the ice, leading some to speculate that hidden underground structures may exist. Satellite imagery has revealed formations that resemble runways, massive caves, and geometric patterns that do not fit with natural glacial formations. The idea that Antarctica may harbor evidence of advanced civilizations, whether human or extraterrestrial, is not new. Legends of hidden bases, lost cities, and ancient structures buried beneath the ice have circulated for decades. Some researchers argue that the perfect circular formation found by McClellan could be a naturally occurring feature caused by ice movement, wind patterns, or melting processes. However, the near-perfect symmetry and the fact that no similar formations have been widely documented challenge this explanation. If this was simply another natural phenomenon, why does it look so distinctly artificial? Why does it resemble the shape of classic UFO reports, with a smooth circular outline and a shadow suggesting a domed structure? Further deepening the mystery is the fact that Antarctica has long been off-limits to the general public. While scientific research stations exist, strict international agreements limit access to specific areas. This has led many to wonder whether the continent's restrictions are about more than just environmental preservation. Could it be that something is being hidden beneath the ice? Another aspect that cannot be ignored is the historical accounts of military interest in Antarctica. During World War II, Germany conducted expeditions to the continent, and rumors persist that they were searching for something extraordinary. Operation High Jump, a post-war US military expedition, also raised questions about what the government was doing in such an isolated region. Some theorists believe that these missions uncovered secrets that were never fully disclosed to the public, perhaps even evidence of alien technology. With McClellan's discovery making waves across the internet, many have called for further investigation. Yet, official responses have been minimal. The lack of acknowledgement only adds to the suspicion that something significant has been found, and that those in power do not want the truth revealed. If the formation were merely a natural occurrence, why not simply provide a thorough analysis and explanation? The possibility that a UFO or ancient spacecraft is buried beneath Antarctica's ice is a concept that, if proven true, would change human understanding of history and extraterrestrial existence forever. It would confirm what many have long suspected, that we are not alone and that intelligent life has visited, or even lived, on our planet in the past. It would also raise questions about what else remains hidden, both in Antarctica and beyond. Despite the skepticism from mainstream sources, McClellan's discovery continues to captivate and inspire. Researchers, independent analysts, and enthusiasts are digging deeper, analyzing Google Earth images, comparing them to other anomalies, and piecing together the bigger picture. The public's fascination with Antarctica and its potential secrets has only grown, and as technology advances, it may become increasingly difficult for those in control to suppress the truth. If McClellan's discovery is indeed what many believe it to be, then the implications are staggering. It would suggest that something of immense significance has been hidden in Antarctica for who knows how long. Whether it is an ancient spacecraft, a lost civilization, or evidence of an ongoing extraterrestrial presence, one thing is clear: this mystery is far from solved. For years, Antarctica has been considered one of the most mysterious places on Earth, a frozen wasteland where few have ventured and even fewer have truly explored. Though it is officially regarded as an uninhabited and barren continent covered in ice, many people believe that Antarctica holds secrets that mainstream science has yet to acknowledge. In recent years, satellite images and Google Earth have revealed what appear to be massive, pyramid-like structures and other formations that look suspiciously man-made. These discoveries have led to speculation that an ancient civilization may have once thrived in Antarctica, long before it became the frozen desert we know today. The most compelling evidence of these theories comes from the pyramid-like formations scattered across the continent. These structures, some of which measure hundreds of feet in height, bear a striking resemblance to the pyramids of Egypt and Mesoamerica. Unlike natural mountain peaks that form through erosion and geological activity, these formations appear to have sharp, defined edges and symmetrical shapes, characteristics that are typically associated with human construction. Some researchers argue that these pyramids could be the remnants of an ancient civilization that existed in Antarctica during a time when the continent was not covered in ice. Scientists acknowledge that Antarctica was not always frozen. Geological evidence suggests that millions of years ago, the continent had a much warmer climate, possibly supporting forests, rivers, and even animal life. If humans or another intelligent species had once lived there, it would mean that our understanding of ancient history is incomplete. The idea that a highly advanced civilization may have flourished in Antarctica before an unknown cataclysm wiped it out is not as far-fetched as it may seem. Ancient maps, such as the Piri Reis map, depict Antarctica's coastline free of ice, suggesting that someone in the distant past had knowledge of the continent before it was officially discovered. Beyond the pyramids, researchers have identified other anomalies in Antarctica that suggest artificial structures may lie beneath the ice. Some satellite images reveal what appear to be large rectangular formations, straight lines, and even structures resembling walls or doorways. In certain areas, the ice appears to be covering massive underground complexes, leading some to believe that an ancient city or lost civilization could still be buried beneath the thick ice sheets. Advanced imaging technology has detected unusual heat signatures coming from beneath the ice, which has fueled speculation that hidden structures or even operating bases may exist. One of the most intriguing aspects of these discoveries is how closely they align with ancient myths and legends. Many ancient civilizations have spoken of a lost land hidden in the far south, a place where great knowledge and power once resided. Some researchers believe that Antarctica could be the fabled Atlantis, a highly advanced civilization that vanished due to a sudden disaster. If these theories hold any truth, it would mean that Antarctica is not just a lifeless expanse of ice, but a time capsule preserving the remnants of an unknown chapter in human history. The possibility that a civilization once existed in Antarctica raises profound questions about who they were and what may have happened to them. Some theorists suggest that these people were among the earliest human civilizations, possibly predating those in Mesopotamia and Egypt. Others go even further, proposing that the structures could be linked to extraterrestrial visitors who may have influenced early human development. Given the remote location and extreme conditions of Antarctica, it would be an ideal place for an advanced civilization to establish a hidden stronghold away from the rest of the world. The idea of Antarctica harboring hidden secrets is not new. Throughout history, various governments and explorers have taken a keen interest in the continent. More recently, leaked documents and whistleblower testimonies have hinted at classified operations taking place in Antarctica. Some claim that secret research facilities have been established there to investigate anomalies detected beneath the ice. Others suggest that international organizations have agreed to keep these discoveries hidden from the public to prevent widespread upheaval. If an ancient civilization had once thrived in Antarctica, revealing this information could challenge everything we know about history, human origins, and the development of advanced societies. Many argue that the so-called pyramids and structures seen in satellite images are merely natural formations shaped by wind, ice movement, and erosion. However, these explanations do not account for the sheer number of geometric shapes and patterns found in Antarctica that closely resemble human-made structures. If these formations were discovered anywhere else in the world, they would be investigated as potential archaeological sites. Yet because they are in Antarctica, a place where official narratives insist no civilization has ever existed, such findings are often dismissed without serious examination. It could suggest that advanced knowledge and technology existed long before the recognized great civilizations of Egypt, Sumer, and the Indus Valley. On December 13, 2018, the hacking group Anonymous dominated headlines with a shocking release. This time, the leak revolved around a set of emails reportedly obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request directed at the US State Department. These emails allegedly contained a bizarre and chilling request for information about the resurrection chamber of Gilgamesh, the ancient Sumerian king and mythological figure, along with details regarding his body's location, and even more astonishingly, the burial sites of the Nephilim. The leaked information quickly captivated people worldwide, reigniting ancient myths and fueling speculation that the US government might have knowledge of long-lost artifacts that could alter human history. The notion that the US government could have hidden information about Gilgamesh has been too compelling for many to dismiss. Anonymous, known for its decentralized operations and hacktivist agenda, has historically been dedicated to exposing government and corporate secrets, often using leaks to uncover corruption or misconduct. However, the December 13, 2018 leak stood out even by Anonymous's own standards. It wasn't just a classified document dump involving political affairs or corporate wrongdoing. Instead, the content ventured into the realm of ancient mysteries and mythology, two subjects rarely associated with government transparency. The leaked email, allegedly part of a Freedom of Information Act request release, detailed a request from an unnamed individual or group seeking documents about a resurrection chamber allegedly tied to Gilgamesh. According to ancient Sumerian mythology, Gilgamesh was a demigod king whose epic tale is one of the oldest surviving pieces of literature. The email also referenced Gilgamesh's body and the Nephilim, who are often described in biblical texts as a race of giants or the offspring of angels and humans. These references sent the internet into a frenzy, especially among conspiracy theorists who have long speculated about the true nature of human history, hidden artifacts, and secret government programs. The idea that the US government could possess or be seeking information about such arcane topics only fueled their speculation further. For many, the leak seemed to validate their long-standing beliefs that governments and powerful organizations were privy to knowledge about ancient civilizations and extraterrestrial beings that they were deliberately withholding from the public. The reference to Gilgamesh in the leaked email immediately raised eyebrows. In Sumerian mythology, Gilgamesh was the king of Uruk, a city-state in ancient Mesopotamia. His exploits are recounted in the Epic of Gilgamesh, a series of poetic stories that are among the earliest known works of literature, dating back to the 3rd millennium BCE. According to the legend, Gilgamesh was 2/3 god and 1/3 man, and his epic tale involves numerous feats of heroism, encounters with gods, and a quest for immortality. Archaeological evidence suggests that the city of Uruk was a major center of power in ancient Mesopotamia, and some historians argue that there may have been a king named Gilgamesh whose exploits were later mythologized. However, the notion of a resurrection chamber is something entirely different. There is no known reference in Sumerian or Babylonian mythology to such a chamber, nor is there any archaeological evidence that suggests one exists. Yet the idea is intriguing, particularly for those who believe that ancient civilizations may have possessed knowledge or technologies far beyond what is currently recognized by mainstream science. For researchers, the idea that the US government could be searching for or concealing information about Gilgamesh's resurrection chamber aligns with broader beliefs about hidden knowledge and ancient technologies that have been deliberately suppressed. The inclusion of the Nephilim in the leaked email only added to the intrigue. Oddly enough, German archaeologists believed they had discovered the burial site of the legendary ruler Gilgamesh, and after a lapse of 5 months, Iraq was subjected to an invasion. Undoubtedly, it is widely known that the United States of America set up a military outpost in the ancient Babylonian city, deliberately destroyed several historical artifacts, and also took a significant number of these findings with them. They erected structures and designated areas for helicopter landings within the historic city. It is widely known that they were actively seeking something of utmost significance. The Nephilim are mentioned in the Bible, most notably in the book of Genesis, where they are described as the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men. They are often interpreted as giants or fallen angels, and their mysterious origins have been the subject of fascination for theologians, historians, and researchers alike. Many believe that the Nephilim represent a hybrid race, half divine, half human, that existed before the Great Flood. Some theories even suggest that the Nephilim were involved in the construction of ancient megalithic structures around the world, using advanced technology or knowledge that has since been lost. For those inclined to believe in these theories, the notion that the US government might possess information about the location of the Nephilim's burial sites was both shocking and, in a strange way, affirming. The question of why the US State Department would be involved in such a search is another layer of the mystery. Some have speculated that the email may have been part of a secret project or investigation into ancient artifacts and beings, while others suggest that it could be linked to ongoing efforts to uncover ancient technologies or knowledge that could have a profound impact on modern science and politics. The Freedom of Information Act request, if genuine, suggests that certain factions within the government may indeed be exploring topics that many of us are unaware of. The idea that the US government would be interested in Gilgamesh's resurrection chamber or the burial sites of the Nephilim implies a broader investigation into humanity's ancient past and the potential existence of lost knowledge or artifacts. For those who believe in the cover-up of ancient history, the leak seemed like confirmation that powerful institutions have been hiding information about humanity's origins, advanced ancient technologies, and potentially extraterrestrial influences for years. While skeptics dismiss such claims as baseless, the fact that the email was allegedly obtained from a Freedom of Information Act request lent a certain credibility to the notion that something unusual might be going on behind the scenes. In recent years, US officials have made significant efforts to return stolen antiquities that were looted from Iraq during times of conflict, particularly following the 2003 invasions and the subsequent chaos. Among the items returned were priceless artifacts, including cylinder seals and other objects dating back thousands of years, representing some of the earliest periods of human civilization. These repatriations highlight both the importance of preserving cultural heritage and the devastating impact that looting has had on Iraq's rich historical legacy. The return of these artifacts is not only a significant diplomatic gesture, but also a symbol of accountability and cooperation between nations. The efforts by US authorities to return these stolen items offer a glimmer of hope that more can be done to recover the countless other pieces of cultural history that were lost during periods of unrest. As artifacts like cylinder seals, clay tablets, and statues are returned, they help restore Iraq's historical narrative and bring some measure of justice for the destruction caused by war and looting. The looting of Iraq's antiquities became widespread during and after the 2003 US-led invasions of the country. As Iraq's political and social structures crumbled, its museums, archaeological sites, and cultural institutions were left vulnerable to theft and destruction. Thousands of priceless artifacts, many of which documented the earliest developments of human civilization in Mesopotamia, were stolen, destroyed, or sold on the black market. Mesopotamia, often referred to as the cradle of civilization, is home to some of the earliest known human societies, including the Sumerians, Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians. These cultures produced some of the world's first cities, legal codes, and forms of writing. Artifacts from this region, including clay tablets with cuneiform inscriptions, cylinder seals, statues, and pottery, are invaluable to understanding the history of humanity. The theft of these antiquities wasn't just a loss for Iraq. It was a loss for the entire world. Many of the stolen artifacts ended up on the international black market, sold to private collectors, galleries, and museums. The sale of looted antiquities became a lucrative business, driven by the global demand for rare and ancient objects. The result was the scattering of Iraq's cultural treasures across the world, making recovery efforts challenging and complex. Recognizing the magnitude of the loss, US authorities have played a role in repatriating looted Iraqi antiquities. Working closely with Iraqi officials, US law enforcement agencies, including the Department of Homeland Security and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, have tracked down stolen artifacts and worked to return them to their rightful place. These efforts have often involved collaborations with museums, auction houses, and private collectors who unknowingly or knowingly acquired looted items. One significant return occurred in 2021 when the US government repatriated more than 17,000 artifacts to Iraq, marking one of the largest returns of looted cultural property in history. Among the items returned were clay tablets, seals, and other objects that dated back to the Sumerian, Babylonian, and Assyrian periods, many of which had been illegally smuggled out of Iraq. This event was hailed as a major step forward in the effort to recover Iraq's lost cultural heritage. Cylinder seals, some of the artifacts that were returned by the US government, hold special significance in Mesopotamian history. These small, carved stone cylinders were used to imprint images and inscriptions onto clay, often serving as a form of personal identification or a means of sealing documents and property. They were highly prized in ancient Mesopotamia and were often intricately carved with depictions of gods, myths, and daily life. The use of cylinder seals dates back to around 3,500 BCE, and they are considered to be among the earliest examples of human art and communication. The return of these seals, along with other artifacts, not only helps restore Iraq's historical record, but also allows scholars and archaeologists to continue studying these ancient societies. Each object returned to Iraq contributes to a deeper understanding of the Mesopotamian world, from the development of early writing systems to the religious and cultural practices of the time. Artifacts like cylinder seals provide tangible links to the past, offering insights into the lives of individuals who lived thousands of years ago. The repatriation of looted antiquities has significant ethical and diplomatic implications. On one hand, the return of these items is a moral imperative. They were taken during times of turmoil, often illegally, and belonged to the people of Iraq, whose cultural heritage was plundered. Returning these artifacts helps to heal some of the wounds left by war and colonization, restoring dignity to a nation that has suffered immeasurable cultural losses. On the other hand, these repatriations also symbolize a growing recognition of the importance of cultural property laws and international cooperation in the fight against the illegal trade in antiquities. The US government's actions demonstrate a commitment to upholding these principles and ensuring that historical artifacts are preserved for future generations, rather than being sold on the black market or housed in private collections. Moreover, the return of these items fosters positive diplomatic relations between Iraq and the US. At a time when Iraq is still rebuilding its institutions and infrastructure, the restoration of its cultural heritage is a significant step in the process of national recovery and reconciliation. The return of artifacts strengthens cultural ties and demonstrates respect for Iraq's ancient history and its contribution to the world's shared human heritage. The ancient Sumerians, one of the earliest known civilizations, left behind a rich cultural and literary heritage that continues to intrigue historians, archaeologists, and scholars. Their contributions to humanity include the development of the first writing system, cuneiform, the construction of monumental ziggurats, and the establishment of the first known city-states. However, one of the most fascinating aspects of Sumerian culture is their explanation of the origins of humanity. According to their mythology, human beings were created by the gods specifically to serve them and tend to their needs. The Sumerians believed that their gods were responsible for the creation of the universe, the earth, and humanity. Their pantheon was made up of a complex hierarchy of deities, each of whom had control over different aspects of nature and human existence. At the head of the pantheon was Anu, the sky god, followed by Enlil, the god of air and storms, and Enki, later known as Ea in Babylonian mythology, the god of wisdom, water, and creation. The Sumerians viewed their gods as powerful but also capricious beings who had little regard for the individual human experience. According to the Sumerians, in the beginning, the universe was a chaotic, undifferentiated mass. The gods, using their divine powers, brought order to this chaos. They separated the heavens from the earth and formed the seas, mountains, and rivers. Once the natural world was in place, the gods turned their attention to the creation of life, first populating the world with plants and animals, and finally deciding to create human beings. The Sumerian creation story is deeply rooted in the idea that humans were created to serve the gods. This notion is most clearly laid out in the Atrahasis epic, a Babylonian text that is believed to have Sumerian origins. According to this account, the gods initially created a race of laborers known as the Igigi, who worked to maintain the world for the gods, performing tasks like digging irrigation ditches and farming the land. Over time, however, the Igigi grew weary of their toil and rebelled against the gods, refusing to continue their labor. Faced with the prospect of having to tend to the earth themselves, the gods sought a solution. Enki, the god of wisdom and creation, proposed creating a new being, humans, who would take on the burdens of labor and serve the gods. Enki, along with the goddess Ninhursag, also known as Nintu or Mami, began the process of human creation. According to our history, Enki used clay from the earth, mixing it with the blood of a slain god to form the first humans. The use of divine blood in the creation of humans was significant, as it imbued humanity with a spiritual connection to the gods, while the clay represented their mortal and earthly nature. The newly created humans were tasked with serving the gods, taking on the responsibilities of farming, tending livestock, building temples, and performing rituals. In this way, the Sumerians believed that human beings existed solely to alleviate the gods of their burdens, and their primary purpose in life was to ensure that the deities were honored and appeased through constant labor and worship. In Sumerian cosmology, the gods were not distant or detached from the human experience. Rather, they played an active role in the daily lives of the people. The gods controlled the forces of nature, and natural phenomena such as floods, droughts, and storms were seen as direct manifestations of divine will. The Sumerians believed that the gods could reward or punish humanity based on their actions, and it was essential to maintain their favor through regular offerings, sacrifices, and prayers. Temples were central to Sumerian life, serving as the primary locations where humans could interact with the gods. These temples, often built in the form of towering ziggurats, were considered the earthly homes of the deities. Priests acted as intermediaries between the gods and the people, performing rituals and sacrifices on behalf of the community. Through these acts of devotion, the Sumerians believed they could secure the gods' favor and ensure the prosperity of their city-states. However, the gods were also unpredictable and at times indifferent to human suffering. This is most famously portrayed in the Epic of Gilgamesh, where the hero Gilgamesh embarks on a quest for immortality, only to learn that eternal life is reserved for the gods alone. The Sumerians understood that their relationship with the gods was one of submission and servitude, and while the gods could grant protection and blessings, they were not bound by human morality. The Sumerian Great Flood. one of the most enduring myths of ancient Mesopotamia, offers a narrative of destruction, survival, and divine intervention. It is a central element in Sumerian mythology and has deeply influenced other ancient flood stories, particularly the later Babylonian and Hebrew traditions. The story of the Sumerian flood reflects humanity's precarious existence in a world governed by capricious gods and natural disasters, while also addressing universal themes of mortality, morality, and the possibility of rebirth after catastrophe. The Sumerians, who lived in the region of Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, around 4500 BCE, were among the first to develop urban civilizations. Situated between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, the region was fertile but prone to unpredictable flooding, which could both sustain and destroy entire communities. As a result, the Sumerians had a deep understanding of the power of nature and saw natural disasters as manifestations of divine will. This geographical and environmental context likely influenced the development of the flood myth, as the Sumerians sought to explain the destructive forces they could not control. The Sumerian myth of the flood is one of the earliest known versions of the deluge story, which was later adapted by other cultures, such as the Babylonians and the Hebrews. In Sumerian mythology, the gods, who ruled over every aspect of life, became frustrated with the human race, particularly with their noise, rebelliousness, and disobedience. To deal with the growing discontent among the gods, they decided to send a great flood to wipe out humanity. This theme of divine retribution through a flood is one that resonates throughout various ancient mythologies, most notably in the story of Noah's Ark in the Hebrew Bible and in the ancient Indian and Greek flood myths. The Atrahasis epic is one of the key texts that tells the Sumerian version of the flood myth. In this story, the gods, led by Enlil, the god of wind and storms, grow weary of the human population. Humanity, which had been created to serve the gods and ease their burdens by performing tasks such as farming and building, had multiplied rapidly and had become too noisy and troublesome. The gods, irritated by the constant clamor of human activity, decided to rid the world of this noise and disturbance by unleashing a devastating flood. Before the flood was sent, the gods employed other methods to reduce the human population. Enlil first sent plagues and famines, but these were insufficient in curbing humanity's numbers. In a final attempt to eradicate humanity, the gods chose a more extreme solution, a flood that would cover the earth and drown all living creatures. However, not all the gods were in agreement with this decision. Enki, the god of wisdom and creation, who had played a role in the creation of humanity, was sympathetic toward humans. Recognizing the injustice of wiping out the entire race, Enki decided to intervene. He secretly warned a righteous man named Atrahasis of the impending disaster. Enki instructed Atrahasis to build a large boat, similar to the Ark in the later story of Noah, and to load it with his family and animals to preserve life during the flood. As instructed, Atrahasis built the boat and loaded it with all necessary provisions. When the flood came, it lasted for several days and nights, covering the land and drowning the rest of humanity. The gods, seeing the destruction they had wrought, began to regret their decision. In particular, the goddess Ninhursag, who had been involved in the creation of humans, mourned the loss of life and wept over the drowned bodies. The flood not only destroyed humanity, but also left the gods without the worship and offerings that they had once received from humans. After the floodwaters receded, Atrahasis and his family disembarked from the boat and offered sacrifices to the gods in gratitude for their survival. The smell of the offerings attracted the gods, and they gathered around, accepting the sacrifices and recognizing that humanity's survival was essential to their own well-being. Realizing that humans were necessary to maintain the world, the gods agreed to allow humanity to repopulate the earth, though they imposed certain restrictions to ensure that the population would not become as large or noisy as before. These restrictions included shortened human lifespans and limits on childbirth. The story of Atrahasis is significant not only as a myth of survival, but also as an expression of the relationship between humans and the divine in Sumerian belief. Humans were seen as both a burden and a necessity for the gods. The gods required human labor and worship, but they were also quick to punish when humanity's actions disturbed their divine order. The Sumerian flood myth is also echoed in the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the most famous and widely studied texts of ancient Mesopotamian literature. In this epic, Gilgamesh, the legendary king of Uruk, embarks on a quest for immortality after the death of his friend Enkidu. During his journey, Gilgamesh meets Utnapishtim, the Sumerian equivalent of Atrahasis, who tells him the story of the Great Flood. Utnapishtim recounts how the gods had decided to destroy humanity through a flood, and how he had been warned by the god Enki to build a boat and preserve life. After surviving the flood, Utnapishtim and his wife were granted immortality by the gods as a reward for their righteousness and obedience. The flood narrative in the Epic of Gilgamesh mirrors many elements of the Atrahasis myth, including the divine warning, the construction of the boat, and the eventual regret of the gods. However, in the context of Gilgamesh's quest, the story of the flood serves as a reminder of the limitations of human life. While Utnapishtim was granted immortality, Gilgamesh realizes that death is an inevitable part of the human condition and that eternal life is reserved for the gods. In addition to its influence on later religious traditions, the Sumerian flood myth offers insight into how the Sumerians understood their relationship with the gods and the natural world. The flood represents both divine wrath and the possibility of renewal, reflecting the Sumerians' awareness of the fragile balance between life and death, creation and destruction. The Sumerian Great Flood narrative did not remain confined to the boundaries of ancient Mesopotamia. Its themes of divine retribution, survival, and renewal resonated deeply with cultures far beyond the Fertile Crescent, inspiring numerous flood myths that appear in religious, historical, and mythological texts across the globe. From the biblical story of Noah's Ark to the Hindu tale of Manu, and even to flood myths among indigenous cultures in the Americas, the basic elements of the Sumerian flood story, the wrath of gods, the destruction of humanity, and the survival of a chosen few, recur time and again. These shared motifs suggest a universal human fascination with the power of nature and the fragility of civilization, as well as the profound need to find meaning in disasters. Perhaps the most well-known adaptation of the Sumerian flood myth is the biblical story of Noah's Ark, found in the Book of Genesis in the Hebrew Bible. The parallels between Noah's flood and the earlier Sumerian story are striking. Like Atrahasis in the Sumerian myth, Noah is chosen by God to survive a catastrophic flood that will wipe out humanity. In both stories, the protagonist is warned in advance and instructed to build a large boat, or ark, to save his family and pairs of animals from the impending disaster. The reason for the flood in both stories is similarly rooted in divine dissatisfaction with humanity. In the Bible, God decides to flood the earth because it has become corrupt, violent, and sinful. Just as the Sumerian gods could no longer tolerate the noise and rebellion of the human race, the biblical God is repelled by human wickedness. In both cases, the flood serves as a form of divine purification, with only the righteous few surviving to repopulate the earth. The biblical flood story also incorporates a covenant element, with God promising Noah that such a flood will never again be sent to destroy the earth. This promise, marked by the appearance of a rainbow, underscores the theme of renewal and hope that is also present in the Sumerian myth. In both versions, the survivors represent a fresh start for humanity, bound to new agreements with the gods that would hopefully prevent future calamities. The Epic of Gilgamesh played an essential role in connecting the Sumerian flood myth to the rest of the ancient Near Eastern world. The inclusion of the flood story in this epic helped spread the narrative beyond the boundaries of Sumer, influencing neighboring civilizations such as the Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians. The story of Utnapishtim, Gilgamesh's ancestor and the Sumerian equivalent of Noah, ensured that the flood myth became one of the key elements of Mesopotamian lore. As the flood story passed through different hands and regions, it took on new characteristics and variations while retaining its core structure. The Epic of Gilgamesh was translated and adapted into several languages, including Akkadian, a language spoken widely throughout Mesopotamia. The Akkadian version of the flood story, along with its influence on Babylonian literature, played a critical role in transmitting the myth to other cultures, including the Hebrews during their exile in Babylon. Flood myths are not limited to the ancient Near East. They also appear prominently in other ancient civilizations. In Hindu mythology, The story of Manu shares many similarities with both the Sumerian and biblical flood narratives. According to the ancient Indian texts, Manu was the first human and progenitor of humanity. One day, he was warned by a fish, who was an incarnation of the god Vishnu, that a great flood would soon destroy all life on earth. Manu was instructed to build a boat and gather the seeds of all living things, which he did. When the flood came, Manu's boat, guided by the divine fish, safely survived the deluge, allowing Manu to repopulate the earth afterward. This Hindu flood myth, like the Sumerian and biblical versions, involves divine intervention, the salvation of a righteous figure, and the preservation of life through a great ark.